every wedding, the groom is the one that waits at the altar, but mine is different. I was the one waiting at the altar. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I gripped the bouquet of white lilies, my fingers nearly crushing the delicate petals. The soft scent should have calmed me, but my heart was racing too hard, pounding with excitement, not fear. This was my wedding day. I stood at the altar inside a grand cathedral in New York City, the high ceilings glowing with warm light, my white gown shimmering as I shifted my weight. My eyes were glued to the massive wooden doors at the end of the aisle. Any second now, Israel would walk through them. The man I loved. The man I had planned my entire future around. I imagined waking up next to him every morning in our apartment, cooking his favorite meals, laughing over burnt pancakes, growing old together, traveling the world, raising children who would inherit his smile and my stubborn heart. Today was supposed to be the start of forever, but the seconds dragged on. Then minutes. The music faltered and stopped completely. A strange tension crept into the church. Guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Whispers began to ripple through the pews like a sickness. My smile trembled. I turned slightly, searching for reassurance, and my eyes landed on my mother and my uncle sitting in the front row. Since my father died, they were all I had. My whole world. They smiled back at me, but their smiles were tight, forced. Fragile. He's just late, I told myself. Israel wouldn't abandon me. He loves me. The whispers grew louder. Where's the groom? Did he really leave her? This is heartbreaking. My throat burned as I swallowed back tears. I refused to cry. Not here. Not today. Then, bang. The church doors flew open. Relief rushed through me for half a second. And then it died. It wasn't Israel. Men in black suits flooded the aisle, their polished shoes echoing against the marble floor. The entire church fell into a suffocating silence. Every instinct in my body screamed danger. The tallest man stepped forward, his eyes empty, his voice cold enough to freeze my blood. Your groom sold you, he said flatly. From this moment on, you belong to the Mafia. The bouquet slipped from my hands, lilies scattering across the floor like shattered dreams. No, this isn't real, I whispered, shaking my head. There's been a mistake. Before I could move, rough hands grabbed my arms, dragging me away from the altar. Mom, Uncle, I screamed, panic tearing from my chest. Please, stop them. Help me. They didn't stand. They didn't scream. They didn't even move. They just watched. That moment broke something inside me. My own blood, my own family, let strangers steal me away. Why aren't you saying anything? I cried, kicking and struggling. Mama, Uncle, no answer. I was shoved into a black van, my wedding dress crushed beneath me as the doors slammed shut. I sobbed uncontrollably, my makeup streaking down my face. As the van pulled away, I glanced through the tinted window. And my heart stopped. Israel stood in the shadows outside the church, watching, silent, not fighting, not chasing, not even trying. Our eyes met for one brief second, and in that instant I understood the truth. My life hadn't been destroyed. It had been sold. When my eyes opened again, darkness surrounded me. The air was icy, biting into my skin. For a moment, I prayed it had all been a nightmare, until I felt the heavy fabric of my wedding dress twisted around my legs, still damp with tears. Reality hit me like a punch. I wasn't in a church. I wasn't waiting for vows. I was lying on the floor of a cold, windowless room. The walls painted black, the smell of smoke and leather clinging to the air. Where am I? The door creaked open. My breath caught as a man stepped inside. Tall, broad-shouldered, powerful. His presence alone sucked the oxygen out of the room. He wore a perfectly tailored dark suit, his face hard and unreadable, eyes sharp enough to cut through steel. He didn't look at me like a human being. He looked at me like property. This was Liam Duke, the most feared mafia boss in the city. I scrambled to my feet, clutching my gown. Who are you? Where am I? Let me go. The corner of his lips twitched, not quite a smile. "You're not a prisoner," he said calmly. "Prisoners can be negotiated." My heart hammered. "Then what am I?" He stepped closer, each footstep echoing like a death sentence. "You're mine," he said quietly. "For business." My stomach twisted. "No. I belong to Israel. I want to go home." His expression darkened. "Home," he repeated coldly. "Your home no longer exists. Without me, you'd already be dead." Tears burned my eyes. He didn't say it like a threat. He said it like a fact. That's when I noticed something strange. The men standing behind him, armed, dangerous, deadly, kept their eyes lowered around me. Not out of cruelty, out of fear, out of respect. Why? I was just a broken bride. Liam Duke turned away, pulling out his phone as he walked toward the door. "If she dies," he said into the phone, his voice sharp as steel, "we lose everything. I have deals to manage, but protecting her comes first. At all costs." The door shut behind him. I sank to the floor, shaking, my heart pounding with a new, terrifying realization. I wasn't just kidnapped. I was valuable, and I had no idea why. I waited until the mansion finally fell silent. The heavy footsteps of the guards faded down the marble halls, swallowed by the night. My heart hammered violently against my ribs as I slipped out of the bedroom, barefoot, clutching the torn hem of my wedding gown so it wouldn't betray me with noise. Every breath felt too loud. Every shadow looked alive. Just find a door. Just breathe. Just run. The corridor was dim, lit only by faint wall lamps. I tried door after door, locked. 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 Panic clawed at my throat. Then I saw it. Moonlight. A thin silver glow leaked through a narrow side door at the end of the hall. Hope exploded inside my chest. My hands shook as I pushed against it, and suddenly, iron fingers snapped around my wrist. I gasped. A massive shadow loomed behind me, swallowing mine against the wall. Liam Duke. His grip tightened until the bruises on my wrist burned, the pain sharp and familiar. His presence alone stole the air from my lungs. "Going somewhere?" he asked calmly. Deadly calm. Like every word was already decided. I spun to face him, my chest heaving. "Let me go. You can't keep me here like this." His eyes narrowed slightly, dark and unreadable. "If you try to run again," he said quietly, "I'll kill you myself." The words froze my blood. For a split second, I felt like prey, cornered, trapped, powerless. Then something ugly and bitter bubbled up inside me, and a shaky laugh tore out of my throat. "You won't," I said, my voice cracking but defiant. "I heard you. On the phone. You said if I die, you lose everything. So don't pretend you can kill me." For the first time, his composure cracked. Just a flicker, but I saw it. Anger. Surprise. Tears spilled down my face as the weight of everything crushed my chest. "Why?" I whispered brokenly. "Why did my parents just sit there and watch while you dragged me away? Why didn't they stop you?" My knees buckled, and I dropped to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "I can't breathe without him," I cried. "You took everything from me. Please, please let me go back to Israel. I miss him. Just let me go." For a moment, Liam Duke didn't speak. He looked down at me, at my shaking body, my ruined dress, my shattered heart. Something unreadable crossed his face. Then he crouched slightly, lowering himself to my level. His voice dropped into something sharp and lethal. "You still don't understand," he said. "You're not here because of love." My breath hitched. "You're here because of blood." Confusion slammed into dread. His voice turned merciless. "Your father made a deal with me years ago. A pact sealed in blood. When he died, that debt didn't disappear. It transferred. To you." My head spun. "You are the last heir to his name," Liam continued coldly. "Without you, everything I built collapses." "No," I whispered. "My father would never." His stare cut me off. "You don't belong to your groom. You don't belong to your family. From the moment you were born, Sandra, you belong to me." The words landed like a curse. And in that moment, I realized the nightmare was far bigger than betrayal. Back in my room, my hands shook as I searched through the dark oak dresser, desperate for something familiar, something safe. My fingers brushed against worn leather. A journal. My father's. I froze. The smell of old ink and tobacco clung to the pages as I opened it. My eyes scanned the hurried handwriting, and my heart shattered. The debt must be repaid. My daughter is the covenant. If she stays alive, the empire stands. My breath left me in a sob. Covenant. I whispered. Empire? My father had loved me, or at least I thought he did. Why would he write this? The door opened quietly. I didn't need to look up. Liam Duke stepped inside, tall and commanding, his calm expression more terrifying than rage. His gaze dropped to the journal in my hands. You're learning faster than expected, he said evenly. Tears burned my eyes as I stood. Please, I whispered. Tell me the truth. At least tell me why I'm here. Why I matter to you. Why my father would trade me like this. He leaned closer, his shadow swallowing me whole. Your parents gave you to me for a reason, he said quietly. And soon you'll understand why. Final. Unchangeable. I clutched the journal to my chest, desperate for comfort from the very words that betrayed me. Hope still lingered in my heart, but the way Liam looked at me, like I was the key to something dark and powerful, told me hope might be the most dangerous lie of all. 2 days passed. The soft, fragile Sandra died somewhere in that room. I sat rigid in a velvet chair, arms crossed tightly over my chest, ignoring the tray of food the guards brought. The soup went cold. The bread hardened. The water remained untouched. When Liam entered, his sharp eyes immediately took in the untouched meal. You're making this harder than it needs to be, he said calmly. I lifted my chin, defiant despite the hunger twisting my stomach. I won't eat, I said hoarsely. Not until you take me to Israel. If you have any decency left, you'll let me see him. He's my everything. Liam studied me for a long moment. Then he sighed, like a man tired of repeating himself. He pulled out his phone and turned the screen toward me. My heart stopped. There was Israel, sitting at a sleek bar in Manhattan. One hand wrapped around whiskey, the other cupping the face of a woman who wasn't me. Their lips were pressed together intimately. The date was recent. Their lips were pressed together intimately. The date was recent. No, I whispered. This isn't real. I reached for the phone, but Liam pulled it back. It's real, he said coldly. Israel has been cheating on you for 5 years. Every lie, every excuse, every moment you thought was yours, he gave to someone else. Memories flooded me like knives, missed calls, late nights, unfamiliar perfume. I shook my head violently, tears streaming down my face. You're lying, I sobbed. He loves me. He promised me forever. Forever. Liam interrupted. He sold you on your wedding day, and you're starving yourself for a man who never chose you. My body gave out. I collapsed into the chair, sobbing uncontrollably, my heart shattered beyond repair. And the cruelest truth of all, I had loved to cheat, completely and blindly, for 4 long years. Chapter 3. Sandra's POV. My sobs tore through the room like broken glass. I tried to stand, but my knees trembled violently, my chest heaving as if my lungs could no longer carry the weight of my pain. No, this isn't real, I whispered, my voice cracking. He loves me. Israel loves me. But my body gave up before my heart did. I collapsed. Strong arms caught me before I hit the cold marble floor. Liam Duke. His grip was firm, steady, anchoring my shaking body against his chest. For a brief moment, the world narrowed to the slow, dangerous rise and fall of his breathing and the unfamiliar solidity of his hold. I felt his hesitation. He should have let me fall. I knew it. I was nothing more than a contract to him. A burden. A pawn in a ruthless game my parents had signed me into long before I could speak. And yet he didn't let go. His jaw tightened, something unreadable flickering across his face. Why am I holding her? The question seemed to trouble even him. Liam Duke was a man built from steel and silence. He ruled an empire carved from fear, commanded men who flinched at the sound of his footsteps. Women were irrelevant to him, temporary, distant, untouched. Yet here he was, holding me. "Foolish woman," he muttered, his voice low, rougher than before. "Crying over a man who sold you. Starving yourself for a ghost." I clutched weakly at his coat, my voice barely audible. I loved him. I can't breathe without him. I don't know how to erase him from my mind. I don't know how to live knowing I was a fool in love. His body went still. For a second, just one, he closed his eyes. "I'll help you forget him," he said abruptly. The words slipped out before he could stop them. Regret followed instantly, but he didn't take them back. Maybe he just needed me to stop crying. Maybe he didn't know how to deal with broken women. I looked up at him through blurred vision.
"How?"
I asked quietly, tears still falling. "Focus on tomorrow," he replied, regaining control. "Your first official meeting. I give you my word. You'll forget him." I barely had time to protest before I was escorted into a sleek black car that cut through the night like a shadow. When the doors opened again, I found myself staring at a mansion far grander than the one I'd been imprisoned in. This place didn't feel like a home. It felt like power. Inside, the air smelled of smoke, whiskey, and danger. A long table stretched across a crimson-lit room, surrounded by men in tailored suits with eyes darker than sin. Whispers followed me as I entered. "So it's true. She's real. He actually brought her." Liam's hand rested lightly at the small of my back, possessive, commanding, as he guided me forward.
He didn't need to speak.
His presence alone silenced the room. I kept my eyes lowered, fingers intertwined tightly, but I could feel it. The weight of their stares.
Fear.
Respect.
Curiosity.
One man leaned back in his chair, swirling his glass. "So, this is the girl from the pact," he smirked. "Pretty. But is she strong enough to survive it?" The temperature dropped instantly. "She is mine," Liam said coldly. "Touch her, and your bloodline ends tonight." Silence slammed down like a gunshot. My heart pounded wildly. In that moment, I understood something terrifying. I wasn't just a captive in Liam Duke's world. I was at the center of it. The mansion fell silent after the meeting, but my mind didn't. The whispers echoed relentlessly. The pact, the girl strong enough to bear it. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sleep. My parents' smiling faces haunted me, smiling as I was dragged away. And Israel, the betrayal cut so deep it triggered panic attacks almost every night. My life had flipped overnight. I used to be happy. Now happiness felt like a foreign language. Then I remembered Liam's words. "I'll help you forget him." I took a few determined steps toward his room, ready to make a deal. Instead, my door opened. Liam entered silently, loosening the cuffs of his shirt, impossibly calm, as if chaos bowed to him. I stood, my voice shaking but fierce. "Enough," I said. "Tell me the truth. The whole truth this time." "You already know too much," he replied coolly. "Then why did my parents smile while selling me off?" I demanded, stepping closer. "Why didn't my groom fight for me? Why do your men look at me like I'm cursed or sacred?" His jaw tightened. "Your father was my business partner," he said. "He owed me. He died before paying his debt. You were his only asset." My knees nearly gave way, but anger held me upright. "You're lying," I whispered. He laughed darkly. "I don't have time for lies. I need you alive. You are the anchor to a promise written in blood. On October 4th, you will represent your father against the Moretti Mafia family." My breath hitched. "All you need to do is seal the clan deal with your blood on paper that day." "What?" I exploded.
"So, this is it?"
"A thumbprint in blood? You destroyed my life for a date on a calendar." "Yes," he said flatly. "Survive the Morettis, sign with your blood, and you're free to return to your beautiful lives. Your family betrayed you. Your fiancé is a womanizer. Quite the life. Don't you dare." I shoved him. His men surged forward instantly. "The next time you touch me," Liam warned coldly, is the moment I forget your value. You can't hurt me, I smirked. Remember? Try me, he replied before turning away. Wait, I said, stopping him. If I'm risking my life on October 14th, I don't want to spend the next month drowning in pain. You promised to help me forget my ex. Keep your word. He turned slowly. What do you want?
Shopping?
Restaurants? Concerts? A personal assistant? I don't want an assistant, I said softly. I want you. I winked. Mafias don't break their promises. In your dreams, he snapped, slamming the door behind him. And yet, something told me this game had only just begun. Morning light filtered into my room, soft and golden, but it brought no comfort with it. For the first time in days, I stood in front of the mirror and didn't see just a broken bride staring back at me. My eyes were swollen from crying, my heart still bruised and tender. But beneath the pain, something else stirred. Defiance. I leaned closer to my reflection and whispered, I can't change what happened, but I can choose not to drown in it. It wasn't healing.
Not yet.
But it was a beginning. With that decision burning quietly in my chest, I walked down the hallway toward Liam Duke's study. The tall double doors looked intimidating, designed to keep people out, but I didn't hesitate. I pushed them open and stepped inside. The room smelled of leather, smoke, and authority. Liam looked up from his desk, pen frozen mid-signature. His sharp eyes locked onto me instantly. What do you want? He asked. I inhaled deeply. Take me on a trip. His brows knit together.
No.
An adventure, I added quickly. Something that will make me forget him. No, he repeated, firmer this time. I stepped closer, clasping my hands together. Please. I need this. You locked me in this house with nothing but my thoughts. If I stay here any longer, I'll lose my mind. This isn't a hotel, Sandra, he replied coolly. I don't entertain childish requests. A faint smile curved my lips. I'm not asking you to entertain me. I'm asking you to help me live again. His gaze sharpened. Why should I? Because, I said stubbornly, walking right up to his desk, I won't stop asking until you do. And you don't strike me as a man who enjoys being nagged. For a split second, the corner of his mouth twitched. You're headstrong, he said. Persistent, I corrected lightly. Silence stretched between us. Liam leaned back in his chair, studying me like a problem he hadn't anticipated. Finally, with a slow sigh, he set his pen down. 2 days, he said. Pack what you need. Don't expect me to enjoy it. I grinned, unable to hide my triumph. Perfect. Just one thing, Liam. Don't fall in love with me. I'm cute, and men tend to fall fast. For the first time, genuine amusement flashed in his eyes. Quick, dangerous, and gone just as fast. Don't flatter yourself, he said flatly. I don't like women. My mouth dropped open. Wait, are you saying you're gay? His stare turned glacial. Leave, Sandra. I have work to do. 2 days later, the mansion buzzed with unfamiliar energy. Guards moved with purpose. Cars were lined up outside. I stood in the hallway with a backpack slung over my shoulder, bouncing slightly on my feet like a kid about to sneak out of school. Then I saw Liam descending the staircase in a sleek black coat, every step controlled, every inch of him radiating power. I whistled softly. Wow, did you dress like that for the trip? Because you look like you're heading to a funeral, not an adventure. His eyes swept over my outfit, jeans, sneakers, a bright sweater that stood out sharply against the mansion's dark tones. And you look like a teenager running away from boarding school, he said. Exactly. I beamed. That's the spirit. Adventures should feel a little illegal. He didn't respond, just walked past me toward the cars. I jogged to keep up. All right, Mr. Serious Face. Rule number 1, you're not allowed to frown the entire trip. Rule number 2, you have to try at least one fun thing I suggest. Deal?
No.
I gasped dramatically. No to which one? All of it. I walked backward, so I could face him. So, you're planning to brood like a vampire the whole time? That's boring, Liam. Sandra, he warned. Yes, boss. I replied sweetly. Get in the car. I laughed, raising my hands in surrender.
Fine.
But remember, you agreed to this. If you ruin it with that icy glare, I'll annoy you until you melt. For a brief moment, something flickered in his eyes, something almost like amusement. Almost. The car door shut, sealing us inside together. I leaned against the window, humming softly, watching the world pass by with renewed curiosity. Liam sat stiffly beside me, pretending to focus on his phone, but I caught his eyes drifting to my reflection in the glass. I smirked. Careful, Liam. Staring is usually the first step to falling in love. He exhaled slowly. You're insufferable. And yet, I said with a wink, you're stuck with me. As the car rolled out of the mansion gates, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Even with the shadow of the Moretti Mafia looming over October 14th. Even knowing my life might be at stake, for the first time, I wasn't just surviving. I was moving forward. The next activity turned out to be archery, set up on an open range beside the mountain lodge. The moment I saw the bows lying neatly on the wooden table, my eyes lit up. Oh my God, this is perfect, I said excitedly, grabbing a bow. I've always wanted to be Katniss Everdeen. Liam Duke lifted an eyebrow. You'll miss every shot. I gasped dramatically.
Wow.
The disrespect. Watch and learn, Mr. Mafia boss. I drew the bow, held my breath, and released. The arrow flew, landing on the outer ring of the target. I spun toward him, grinning.
See?
Not terrible. Beginner's luck, he muttered as he picked up his own bow. He barely aimed. His arrow sliced clean through the air and struck the red center perfectly. I groaned. Show off. Round after round, we competed. Liam was steady, controlled, annoyingly precise, but to my own surprise, I wasn't bad either. On my final shot, I closed one eye, whispered a quick prayer, and let go. The arrow landed just close enough to beat his score by one single point. I screamed, dropping the bow and doing a ridiculous victory dance.
Yes.
I won. I told you, now you're mine, Liam Duke. My secret. He shook his head, clearly irritated, but his lips twitched, like he was fighting a smile. That alone felt like another victory. That evening, we sat across from each other in the lodge's quiet dining room. Candlelight flickered between us, and the scent of roasted meat and spices filled the air. I rested my chin in my palm, studying him shamelessly. So, I said sweetly, time to pay up. He sipped his wine, eyes deliberately avoiding mine. There's nothing to tell. Oh no, I said, wagging my finger. We had a deal. I won. Fair and square. Now talk. Why don't you like being touched? Or, I leaned in, lowering my voice. Are you gay? His jaw tightened instantly. Sandra. Yes, Liam? I teased. But something changed. His eyes darkened, not with anger, but with weight. Heavy old weight. The playful mood evaporated, and my smile slowly faded. After a long silence, he set his glass down. 2 years ago, he said quietly, my wife was killed. By my rival. My breath caught. She was the only woman I ever allowed close, he continued, staring past me into the candlelight. And because of me, because of the life I live, she died. Every woman who gets close to me gets hurt. My voice softened. Liam, that's why I don't let women touch me, he said, his voice hardening again. It's safer that way. The silence that followed was thick and raw. My chest ached in a way I hadn't expected. Slowly, carefully, I reached across the table and brushed my fingers against the back of his hand. He didn't pull away. Maybe, I whispered, you don't have to be safe all the time. Maybe sometimes you just have to live. For one brief moment, his mask slipped. I saw it. The grief, the guilt, the man beneath the Mafia legend. Then he withdrew his hand. Eat your dinner, he muttered. I didn't push. But inside I smiled, because for the first, I'd touched his heart. The next morning, sunlight flooded the lodge, turning everything warm and gold. I hummed softly as I walked into the dining area where Liam sat reading reports with his usual brooding expression. I dropped into the chair across from him. "Good morning, Mr. Stoneface." "You're too loud this early," he replied without looking up. I grinned. "You'd miss my voice if I was quiet. Not even a little." I leaned closer, whispering, "Careful, you're dangerously close to smiling." His eyes snapped up, hardened, but the tiniest twitch betrayed him. I pointed. "Aha,
I saw that.
you do smile." Before he could respond, heavy footsteps thundered down the hall. One of his men burst in, pale and breathless. "Boss, we've been compromised." Liam was on his feet instantly. "Explain." "They know you're here. Your rival's men were spotted near the lodge." My smile vanished. "Wait, what's happening?" Liam grabbed his coat, voice sharp. "Stay here. Don't move." I stood up immediately. "Don't move? I'm not a child you can hide away." He turned to me, eyes blazing, not with anger, but fear. Protective fear. "This isn't a game, Sandra," he said. "They'll kill you just to get to me." My heart pounded, but I straightened. "Then maybe you shouldn't face them alone." For a long moment, he hesitated, torn between command and something far more dangerous. Finally, he growled, "Stay close to me. Don't argue." I nodded, a small smile breaking through my fear. "Yes, sir." He shot me a warning look, but his hand hovered near mine for a brief second, close enough for me to feel his warmth, before he strode out to face the storm waiting outside. And deep down, I knew this trip was no longer just an escape. It was the beginning. The night pulsed with neon lights and bass, so loud it vibrated in my chest. The club I dragged Liam Duke into was packed, New York at its wildest. Flashing strobes, bodies pressed together, laughter spilling into the air like sparks. I spun in front of him, my eyes dancing with mischief. "Come on, Liam," I laughed. "Live a little." He stood stiffly at the edge of the dance floor, hands tucked into his pockets like armor. "This isn't my world." I rolled my eyes. "Of course it isn't. Your world is dark offices, cigars, and scary men whispering numbers." He shot me a warning look. I grinned wider. Before he could react, I grabbed his hand and pulled him straight onto the dance floor. "I don't dance," he said flatly, resisting. I leaned close, my lips brushing his ear. "That's unfortunate, because tonight you're dancing with me." The music thundered around us, but my voice cut through it. Soft, teasing, warm. I placed one of his hands on my waist, but the moment my other hand slid up toward his chest, he grabbed my wrist, grip firm. "Don't," he warned, voice low and sharp. I looked up at him, my smile softening. "Liam, it's just a dance. Nothing more." His jaw clenched, but he didn't move away. Slowly, carefully, I placed both my hands on his chest. His heartbeat thudded beneath my palms, strong, steady, guarded. "See," I whispered, "you're still alive." Something shifted. The chaos of the club faded, replaced by the quiet connection between us. His body responded despite himself, moving with mine as the music slowed. I swayed closer, my head almost resting against him. After a brief hesitation, his other hand settled on my waist, awkward, uncertain, but real. We moved together, slow and intimate. When I lifted my eyes to his, he didn't look away. It wasn't just a dance. It was a crack in his armor, a moment where grief loosened its grip and longing slipped through. "You see?" I murmured. "You're not as untouchable as you think." He didn't answer. His silence spoke louder than words. His eyes, dark, stormy, held mine, and for one suspended heartbeat, I felt the weight of his soul pressing against mine. My heart pounded recklessly, and without thinking, I kissed him. He froze at first. Then something broke. He kissed me back, deep, hungry, desperate, like he'd been starving, and I was the only thing keeping him alive. His hand slid to the back of my neck, pulling me closer, erasing every inch of space between us. The world disappeared. When we finally pulled apart, breathless, his eyes hardened. You kissed me because you're trying to forget your ex, he said coldly. That's all this is. My chest seized.
What?
No, Liam. I thought we were connecting. Getting closer. Maybe even. I could never like you, Sandra, he cut in. The words hit harder than any slap. You don't mean that, I whispered. But his silence, his refusal to look at me, said everything. My throat burned. I stepped back, turned away, and pushed through the crowd. My heels clicked sharply against the floor as I left the club, leaving him alone beneath flashing lights and broken music. That night, everything unraveled. For the next week, we lived like strangers. No teasing, no laughter, no warmth. We attended events together like a picture-perfect couple, but we didn't speak. He didn't chase me. I didn't give him the chance. Just silence. Heavy, painful, regret-filled. And the memory of one kiss that should have meant everything, but instead shattered us. October 4th. The day everything could end. The abandoned warehouse in Brooklyn was dim, cold, and deadly quiet. On one side stood Liam, me, Israel, and his men, alert, armed, ready. On the other, the Moretti family entered, their presence thick with danger. My pulse thundered. This wasn't business. This was survival. One of the Moretti brothers stepped forward, smiling cruelly. Without warning, he grabbed my hand and sliced my thumb with a thin blade. I cried out as blood welled. Stamp it, he sneered. My shaking thumb pressed onto the golden contract, leaving a crimson mark. The deal stands, Liam said coldly. 100 billion. Split evenly. He pulled me to his side. But the Moretti leader smirked. Or, we kill you both and keep everything. Guns rose. So did ours. You greedy animals, Liam snarled. Try it. The warehouse exploded.
Gunfire.
Screams. Metal screaming against metal. A guard lunged at me with a knife. Pain tore through my arm as the blade cut deep. Sandra. Liam shot him down in seconds. A chaos consumed the room. Liam fought like a force of nature, brutal, precise, merciless. One by one, the Morettis fell. When silence returned, blood stained the floor. Liam rushed to me, tearing fabric from his sleeve and tying my wound, his hands shaking despite his strength. I was alive. We survived. Later that night, I packed my suitcase. The mansion felt suffocating. Liam appeared in the doorway. Where are you going? Far away, I said quietly. From my past, from my pain, and from you. I'm dangerous, he said. Too dangerous to love. Then look at me, I whispered. And say you don't like me. I don't like you, he said coldly. My heart shattered. Goodbye. I walked away. He didn't stop me. 3 months later, my restaurant buzzed with life. I was happy.
Free.
Until Liam walked in. Jealousy flashed when a man leaned too close to me. She has a man, Liam said firmly. I folded my arms. You don't own me. I love you, he confessed. I was wrong. Tears fell. Promise you won't push me away again. I swear, my princess. Then yes, I whispered. I'll be your girlfriend. He lifted me, laughing. I love you, he breathed. I love you too, my sweet Mafia. And as he carried me into the night, I knew some hearts are worth the fight. And love/love always wins.